Hello students, welcome to my second class on OOAD through UML. Today we are going to discuss about how to bringing order to chaos. In this bringing order to chaos, the first topic we have to discuss is the role of decomposition. In this role of decomposition, as Dijkstra suggests that the technique of mastering complexity has been known since ancient times. Divide and rule. When designing a complex software system, it is essential to decompose it into smaller and smaller parts, each of which we may then refine independently. In this manner, we satisfy the very real constraint that exists upon the channel capacity of human recognition. To understand any given level of a system, we need only comprehend a few parts rather than all parts at once. Indeed, as Parnas observes, intelligent decomposition directly addresses the inherent complexity of software by forcing a division of system state space. Algorithmic decomposition. Most of us, we have been formally trained in the dogma of top-down structured design, and so we approach decomposition as a simple matter of algorithmic decomposition, wherein each module in the system denotes a major step in some overall process. As an example of one of the products of structured design, a structured chart that shows the relationships among various functional elements of the solution. This particular structure chart illustrates part of the design of a program that updates the content of a master file. It was automatically generated from a data flow diagram by an expert system tool that embodies the rule of structured design. And we have to discuss about object-oriented decomposition. Generally, we suggest that there is an alternative decomposition possible for the same problem. We have decomposed the system according to the key abstractions in the problem domain, rather than decomposing the problem into steps such as get formatted update and add checksum. We have identified objects such as master file and checksum, which derive directly from the vocabulary of the problem domain. Although both design solves the same problem, they do so in quite different ways. In this second decomposition, we view the world as a set of autonomous agents that collaborate to perform some higher level behavior. Get formatted update that does not exist as an independent algorithm. Rather, it is an operation associated with the object file of updates. Calling this operation creates another object, update to cart. In this matter, each object in our solution embodies its own unique behavior, and each one models some object in the real world. From this perspective, an object is simply a tangible entity which exhibits some well-defined behavior. Objects do things, and we ask them to perform what they do by sending them messages, because our decomposition is based upon objects and not on algorithms. We call this is an object oriented decomposition. And next topic is algorithmic versus object oriented decompositions. Which is the right way to decompose a complex system, by algorithms or by objects? Actually, this is a tricky question, because the right answer is that both views are important. The algorithmic view highlights the ordering of events, and the object oriented view emphasizes the agents that either cause action or are the subjects upon which these operations act. However, the fact remains that we cannot construct a simple complex system in both ways simultaneously, for they are completely orthogonal views. We must start decomposing a system either by algorithms or by objects, and then use the resulting structure as the framework for expressing the other perspectives. So, bringing order into chaos comprises of the role of decomposition, algorithmic decomposition, object oriented decomposition, and we have to discuss about algorithmic versus object oriented decomposition. Next, designing a complex system. In that designing a complex system, we have to understand engineering as a science and an art. The practice of every engineering discipline, maybe it's civil, mechanical, chemical, electrical, or software engineering, involves elements of both science and art. As Petrosky eloquently states, the conception of a design for a new structure can involve as much a leap of imagination and as much a synthesis of experience and knowledge as any artist is required to bring this canvas or paper. And once the design is articulated by the engineer as artist, it must be analyzed by the engineer as a scientist in a rigorous and application of the scientific method, as any scientist must make. Similarly, Dijkstra observes that the programming challenge is a large-scale exercise in applied abstraction and thus requires the abilities of the formal mathematician blended with the attitude of the competent engineer. Competent means the professional engineer. The meaning of design. In every engineering discipline, design encompasses the disciplined approach. We used to invent a solution for some problem, thus providing a path from requirements to implementation. In the context of software engineering, Mosto suggests that the purpose of design is to construct a system that satisfies a given functional specifications, conforms to the limitation of target medium, meets implicit or explicit requirements on performance and resource usage, satisfies implicit or explicit design criteria on the form of the artifact, satisfies restrictions on the design process itself, such as its length or cost or the tools available for doing the design. The elements of software design methods. Clearly, there is no magic, no silver bullet that can unfailingly lead the software engineer down the path from requirements to the implementation of complex software system. In fact, the design of complex software system does not lead itself at all to cookbook approaches. Rather, as noted earlier in the fifth attribute of complex systems, the design of such systems involves an incremental and iterative process. Still, sound design methods do bring some much needed discipline to the development process. The software engineering community has evolved dozens of different design methods, which we can loosely classify into three categories. Despite their differences, all of these methods have elements in common. Specifically, each method includes following: notation, the language for expressing each model; process, the activities leading to the orderly construction of the system models; tools, the artifacts that eliminate the medium of model building and enforce rules about the models themselves, so that errors and inconsistencies can be exposed. So this is the vast topic, the model of object-oriented development. The model or models of object-oriented development. Is there a best design method? Can we say this design is the best? No. There is no absolute answer to this question, which is actually just a veiled way of asking the earlier question. What is the best way to decompose a complex system? To reiterate, we have found great value in building models that are focused on the things we find in the problem space, forming what we refer to as an object-oriented decomposition. Object-oriented analysis and design is the method that leads us to an object-oriented decomposition. By applying object-oriented design, we create software that is resilient to change and written with economy of expression. We achieve a greater level of confidence in the correctness of our software through an intelligent separation of its state space. Ultimately, we reduce the risks that are inherent in developing complex software systems. So, there are three models: static model, logical model, physical model, and there is some other model also, dynamic model. In every model there are two things: class structure and object structure. Both are important, and we can again divide into module architecture and procedure architecture. Evolution of object model. Evolution of object model. The generation of programming languages as we look back upon the relatively brief yet colorful history of software engineering, we cannot help but notice two sweeping trends: the shift in focus from programming in the small to programming in the large, the evolution of high-order programming languages. Most new industrial strength software systems are larger and more complex than their predecessors were even just a few years ago. This growth in complexity has prompted a significant amount of useful applied research in software engineering, particularly with regard to decomposition, abstraction, and hierarchy. The development of more expressive programming languages has complemented these advances. The trend has been moved away from languages that tell the computer what to do toward languages that describes the key abstractions in the problem domain. Wiener has classified some of the more popular high-order programming languages in generation ranges according to the language features they first introduced. First generation programming languages, those are all Fortran, Algol, Flowmatic, IPL-V. And second generation languages are Fortran subrotations, separate compilations, Algol 60. Algol 60 is for block structures and data types. COBOL and data description, file handling, list processing, pointers, garbage collections. Third generation languages 1962 to 1970. PL by Fortran, Algol, COBOL, Algol 68, rigorous successors to the Algol 60. Pascal simple successor, Simula classes, data abstraction, the generation gap 1970 to 1980. Many different languages were invented, but few endured. Foundations of the object model. The structured design methods. Foundations of the object model. The structured design methods evolved to guide developers who were trying to build complex systems using algorithms as their fundamental building blocks. Similarly, object-oriented design methods have evolved to help developers exploit the expressive power of object-based and object-oriented programming languages, using the class and object as basic building blocks. Object-oriented programming, object-oriented design, object-oriented analysis. Because the object model derives from so many disparate sources, it has unfortunately been accompanied by a muddle of terminology. A Smalltalk programmer uses methods. A C++ programmer uses virtual member functions, and a CLOS programmer uses generic functions. An object Pascal programmer talks of a type coercion. An Ada programmer calls the same thing a type conversion. To minimize the confusion, let us define what is object-oriented and what is not. The glossary provides a summary of all the terms described here plus many others. Object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming is a method of implementation in which programs are optimized as cooperative collections of objects, each of which represents an instance of some class and whose classes are all members of a hierarchy of classes united via inherent relationships. Object-oriented design. The emphasis in programming method is primarily on the proper and effective use of particular language mechanisms. By contrast, design methods emphasize the proper and effective structuring of a complex system. What then is object-oriented design? We suggest that object-oriented design is method of design encompassing the process of object-oriented decomposition and a notation for depicting both logical and physical as well as static and dynamic models of the system under design. Object-oriented analysis. Object-oriented analysis is a method of analysis that examines requirements from the perspective of classes and objects found in the vocabulary of the problem domain. There are so many topics to discuss in the foundations of object model. At least you have to bear next 10 minutes. Elements of object model. There are 4 major elements in this model: abstraction, encapsulation, modularity, hierarchy. There are 3 minor elements in the object model: typing, concurrency, persistence. Abstraction. An abstraction denotes the essential characteristics of an object that distinguish it from all other kinds of objects and thus provide crisply defined conceptual boundaries relative to the perspective of the viewer. Encapsulation. Encapsulation hides the details of implementation of an object. Encapsulation is the process of compartmentalizing the elements of an abstraction that constitute its structure and behavior. Encapsulation serves to separate the contractual interface of an abstraction and its implementation. Modularity. Modularity is the property of a system that has been decomposed into a set of cohesive and loosely coupled modules. Modularity packages abstractions into discrete units. Hierarchy. The meaning of hierarchy is abstraction is a good thing, but in an all except the most trivial applications, we may find many more different abstractions than we can comprehend at one time. Encapsulation helps manage this complexity by hiding the inside view of our abstractions. Modularity helps also by giving us a way to cluster logically related to abstractions. Still, this is not enough. A set of abstraction often form a hierarchy, and by identifying these hierarchies in our design, we greatly simplify by our understanding of the problem. Hierarchy is a ranking or ordering of abstractions. Typing. The concept of type derives primarily from the theories of abstract data types. A Dutch suggests that a type is a precise characterization of structural or behavioral properties which a collection of entities all share. For our purpose, we all use the term type and class interchangeably. Although the concepts of a type and a class are similar, we include typing as a separate element of the object model because the concept of a type class a very different emphasis upon the meaning of abstraction. Typing is the enforcement of the class of an object such that objects of different types of may not be interchanged, or at the most they may be interchanged only in very restricted ways. Concurrency. The meaning of concurrency. For certain kinds of problems, an automated system may have to handle many different events simultaneously. Other problems may involve such computation that they exceed capacity of any single processor. In each of these cases, it is natural to consider using distributed set of computers for the target implementation or to use processors capable of multitasking. A single process, also known as thread of control, is the root from which independent dynamic action occurs within a system. Every program has at least one thread control, but a system involving concurrency may have many such threads, some that are transitory and others that last the entire lifetime of the system's execution. System executing across multiple CPUs allow for truly concurrent threads of control, whereas system running in a single CPU can only achieve the illusion of concurrent threads of control, usually by means of sometimes slicing algorithm. Concurrency is the property that distinguishes an active object from one that is not active. Persistence. An object in software takes up some amount of space and exists for a particular amount of time. Atkinson suggests that there is a continuum of object existence ranging from transitory objects that arise within the evolution of an expression to objects in a database that outlive the execution of single program. This spectrum of object persistence encompasses the following: transient results in expression evolution, local variables in procedure activations, own variables, global variables, and heap items whose extent is different from their scope, data that exists between execution of a program, data that exists between various versions of the program, and data that outlives the program. Persistence is the property of an object through which its existence transcends time. object continues to exist after its creator ceases to exist. Applying the object model. Benefits of the object model. As we have shown, the object model is fundamentally different from the models embraced by the more traditional methods of structured analysis, structured design, and structured programming. This does not mean that the object model abandons all of the sound principles and experiences of these older methods. Rather, it introduces several novel elements that build upon these earlier models. Thus, the object model offers a number of significant benefits that other models simply do not provide. Most importantly, the use of the object model leads us to construct systems that embody the 5 attributes of well-structured complex systems. In our experience, there are 5 other practical benefits to be derived from the application of the object model. Applications of the object model. The object model has proven applicable to a wide variety of problem domains. Many of the domains for which systems exist that may properly be called object oriented. The bibliography provides an extensive list of preferences to these other applications. Object oriented analysis and design may be the only method we have today that can be employed to attack the complexity inherent in very large systems. In all fairness, however, the use of object-oriented deployment may be ill-advised for some domains, not for any technical reasons, but for non-technical ones, such as absence of a suitably trained staff or good development environment. Thank you.